Welcome to The Funniest Thing.
Yes.
Where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
Hooah!
Ed had too much coffee and we're still going to do the show. I'm Darrell.
I'm Ed.
And we are broadcasting from CHOBO Studios in beautiful
downtown Van Nuys.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
And now that we're talking about all you ladies and gentlemen that tune in every week, what do we got, Ed?
We got a lot. We got to thank the people who are supporting us through Patreon, contributing to the show, patreon.com/funniest thing. We really appreciate the way y'all are contributing and helping us to keep Indy happy.
Oh, well, it's also Prosperity Month.
It's Prosperity Month.
Yes, it is. And the more we give, the more we receive.
That's right.
Oh, we got some great stories.
When you support this show, you're supporting CHOBO. Yeah,
yes.
So multiple dreams, it trickles out, and hopefully the things that we share helps support your dreams, and so on and so forth. So thank you very much.
Yes.
Also, I wanted to say thank you to Kathy G. Norman and Steve. If you're watching on YouTube, and if you're not watching on YouTube, get on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comment on the videos.
Yes.
But you will see that I am wearing a shirt. Darrell, what does this shirt say?
Lawn Dart Survivor.
Lawn Dart Survivor. Kathy realized we were wearing fun shirts in the studio, so her and Steve decided to chip in.
We had lawn darts, and I would always make Eric. I have a younger brother named Eric. He's still with us, folks.
Right.
But I would say, hey, go get the lawn dart. And he'd go to get it, and I'd wing a lawn dart at him.
Oh, my God.
So he goes and tells my father.
Oh, no.
He goes, Dad, Darrell threw a lawn dart at me again. And my father goes, what the hell do you want me to do? Duck. That was his answer, duck.
That's great wisdom.
Duck. What do you want from me?
That's good parenting right there. All right, I want to thank our listeners. Why don't we kick it off with a letter from Kirky? We got a great postcard here. Time for letters from Kirky.
Hopefully Comfort's giving us a sound effect for that.
Yeah, I know. We got to talk to him. Kirk Chelson sent us this wonderful, informative postcard.
Yeah.
What's this hat called? Can you read that?
I don't think you're allowed to say that on the show.
All right. It's some sort of bonnet. It has a picture of Darrell on the front. If you look on our YouTube, you can see this postcard. And it says, there's a quote from...
Well, the bonnet is one of those bonnets that all the cool kids are wearing now.
Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, inspired from the show Peaky Blinders.
Yes. So, but on the back, there is a great quote from Neville Goddard. It says, turn from appearances and assume the feeling that would be yours were you already the one you wish to be. Feeling a state produces that state.
Yes.
The part you play on the world's stage is determined by your conception of yourself.
Yes.
What a great reminder. Thank you, Kirk Chelson. Kirk Chelson is actually a professor. He's also a screenwriter and author. He's been on the show before.
Well, he's actually a professor at one of the top film schools in the world in Lodz, Poland.
There you go.
Yes.
So thank you.
That came from Poland, folks.
Yep. So if you want to send us something, by the way, you can send it to Funniest Thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. Speaking of sending us things, last week we talked about a postcard that magically arrived from, that was from Lois Conklin.
Yes, with no postage, no stamp. You'll have to check out that episode.
And Lois said, thank you for sharing my postcard. Fun that it made it there with no stamp. We have to just love the Postal Service. We agree. So glad I found you two guys that lift our spirits and make us laugh. Love you, Lois. She also noted, thank you for sharing the saying. It was on the wall of Rebecca's home. That's Rebecca Conklin.
Oh, wow.
And she said it was dated 1937, and that was her mother-in-law, not her daughter. It was her mother-in-law. And her mother-in-law lived to be 102. Fun to share it with you.
Wow.
So you can go back if you listen to Tell Me What You Want, What You Really, Really Want. With Kathy Jean Norman. You'll know what that postcard was all about. Vonnie Wayne from British Columbia. I think that's actually a combination of her and her husband's name, by the way. But she said, hi, guys. I'm affirming the good with you. Vicky Corlan from Canada.
Bonnie Wayne, that's good. That's like Desi Lou Studios was
Yeah,
Desi
right?
Inez and Lucille Ball.
That's right. So shout out to Vonnie Wayne Studios. Vicky Corlan, who is Sarah Negadari's mother, I believe, in Canada, said, I always love your show.
Wow.
Reverend Greg Barrett, who was on the show recently, you want to check out his episode, said, I had such a great time. Thank you so much for having me on your program. You're so much fun. Barbara Weatherman watched Tell Me What You Want, What You Really, Really Want from Florida. Said, thanks, guys. You're a bright spot of love in the universe, sending you a javelin of light and love.
Wow.
Again, you got to listen to the episode,
yes.
Tell Me What You Want, What You Really, Really Want to know what the javelin of
You're
love
gonna
is all
want to start
about.
using your javelins, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Sherry Knight from Louisville, Kentucky also said, great show, guys. I really needed to hear this. Thank you for all the wisdom and joy. Sending so much love to you and yours. And you know what? Also, Liebs Goya, who tuned in through the Instagram Reels, said that she also had a postcard that she received in the mail with no postage on it. So there's a lot of postal angels out there.
That's right.
So thank you for tuning in and all that. Check out our website, darrellanded.com, if you want to learn more about what we're up to. Also, we have a Funniest Thing fan page on Facebook.
Yes.
Again, check it out on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, like it, share it, and share with us what's working for you, things that really stick out about what you're hearing. We love to hear
questions. You can send us questions.
All of this
prayer
stuff
requests
really blesses us and all the other listeners because we get to talk about it. It's just like if you're in class, I'm the only one who has this question. I better not raise my hand, is what little Eddie used to think, but that's not true. People are blessed when we ask the questions and share our insights. Thank you to our chief engineer out there in Kansas City, Kansas.
His name is Jeff Comfort.
Yeah, and each week
He takes us
right into the comfort zone. Yeah. All right. We also want to thank our chief engineer out here in beautiful downtown Van Nuys. His name's his name is Indy Fawcett. I call him Choby.
I think Choby.
Choby Fawcett.
Choby.
CHOBO Studios,
Yes,
CHOBOstudios.com if you want to get in on this action over here.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize I just bought the Prosperity book by Charles Fillmore, and it's Prosperity Month.
Yes.
How great is that? That's awesome.
All right. Prosperity Month is something to celebrate.
Oh, I had a great Prosperity Month story that you participated in. You probably forgot.
I probably did. Do you want to share it or should I
No,
shout
that's
out to
good.
the... Okay, let's talk about a valuable tool. If you're out there and you really want to get into the flow with life,
Yes.
if you want to experience help kickstarting your campaign to feel great today at any moment, regardless of how big or small your concern is, you can call Silent Unity. 800-NOW-PRAY, 800-669-7729. They have an app, the letter U, the word pray. You can type in your prayers. As Howard Rankin shared last week, a listener, you can also call them and press 2 if you're a little afraid or don't have the time to talk to a prayer associate, and you can hear a wonderfully pre-recorded affirmative prayer.
Yes.
Now, the thing about this, like I'm thinking about what Eric Butterworth said, is that unity is not a religion, it's a way of seeing things. So we're calling Silent Unity, it helps us to adjust the lens through which we're looking at the world, just like the morning routine we recommend of affirmative, reading some positive books like the ones we read on the show. If you go to darrellanded.com, there's a reading list. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us for books. We highly recommend Around the Year with Emmett Fox, Deep Breath of Life by Alan Cohen. We've been reading Science of Mind 365. We've been reading The Daily Word. We have Michael Schoonover sending us amazing old daily words, old Science of Mind readings. But the point is you read this stuff to kind of break up the rocks of your thinking in the morning, then do some meditation. Sit, just breathe, relax. Let go. Relax into your own divinity. Let your thought, let your connection with your true self start to bubble up. And then make an inspired to-do list. Say some affirmative statements about what you want your day to be like from that place, that higher elevation, a higher perspective on things, because we rise. That's the thing. A lot of times we've been taught to look along the sort of horizontal line of life. We're looking and we see our car, we see our job, we see what we have to do that day.
It's crowded.
And then the thing is with this stuff is it allows us to go up this vertical line where all that stuff is there, but we see it from an elevated perspective. Like if you had climbed up to the top of a parking garage, you look down on the city, it looks totally different because you're like above the fray and you see everything different. Or maybe from a nearby mountain or hill, like in Culver City, there's this, what'd you call that? That hill up there where that
Baldwin Hills.
Yeah, Baldwin Hills. You look down, and there's something about being above it all that helps you disengage from the worries and fears and doubts you have. From that perspective, you see, you get this feeling of all is well. So Silent Unity is a great tool if you want help with that. 800-669-7729.
Yes, to quote my friend Fred Walecki, it's like tuning into FM. And once you're tuned into FM, you don't hear anything on AM.
That's so true. Good point.
AM is like the third dimension.
Yeah.
And all this is about getting my mind vibrating at a higher frequency.
Yeah.
The lower frequency, everything's dense.
Right.
And when my mind starts moving into this higher frequency, this joyful frequency, this faith-filled frequency, which is confident, that's exactly what the word means, moving with faith.
With faith.
That's when things just always seem to align themselves perfectly in divine order. And it really is about being vulnerable, and it's an act of letting go and believing instead of worrying and scheming.
Right. And by doing a morning routine, some sort of spiritual practice where we connect with our divinity each day, then we know what we're having faith in. Yeah. Because we're always putting faith in something. But it's through these practices, it's through these readings and being reminded of our divinity that we find something that is worthy of our faith. That is so reliable, it never lets us down. Even when our own fear, the mind starts to cough up fears and doubts and worries, there's something within us that knows, this is just part of how our mind that's been conditioned to believe certain things, but that we still know underneath it all, even when we think we're having the worst day, once we get on this path, we still have this sense that underneath it all, there is something good carrying us. And that's when we want to celebrate.
Yes, say the description because I'm on fire here. We got so many great stories, Ed.
I know. Look at this. I hope you're watching on YouTube. You could see the electricity going through.
Yeah, you're like waving the expensive brandy in front of my nose, but we're not pouring it out yet. I'm getting excited here.
Correct. It's called, what do they call that in a slow burn?
It is a slow burn. I'm about to burst. Come on, read this thing.
All right. Today's show is called I Just Want to Celebrate with Mark Hicks.
Yes.
This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine.
Oh,
this
yes,
little
indeed.
light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. At the core of our being, we really love each other and seek to express that love. Yes, we really love each other and seek to express that love. The problem is always some form of a grievance that we cherish or hold on to. We believe it's real. We think it. I can say for myself, I'm embarrassed to admit that at times I think that grievance is somehow protecting me. And that is an error. On this episode, Darrell and Ed inspire listeners to release these grievances and welcome miracles. Forgiveness is the ultimate superpower, or at least it unlocks the ultimate superpower. And today is the day to start having fun with it. And during the second segment, pilot lighting Unity minister Mark Hicks fires things up with today's daily word with which is Illuminate. And I also want to say that Mark Hicks is the creator of TruthUnity.net.
Yes.
If you have not visited TruthUnity.net, it's another place where everything you need for a morning routine
is right there.
It's so awesome. There's amazing recordings of these amazing teachers. I think I listened to, it was Mae Rowland and Foster McClellan.
Yes.
Talking about silent unity. There's a talk on there. We found, what's our friend, James Dillett Freeman.
Yes.
I mean, there's something about these people, especially at this different times in the movement when they're really connected to the gold that's at the center of all of this. There's something about the living spirit and hearing that. So you can go to truthunity.net. The thing about this is, it's always a good time to celebrate.
Wait, I think it's trying to say they were as enthusiastic and nuts about it as us.
That's right. Because a lot of people think nowadays when Darrell and Ed roll up into, maybe we speak at a Unity church or we get involved in something like this, you guys have this kind of unique or You know what I mean? It's like a Darrell and Ed thing. This is not a Darrell and Ed thing. This is the spirit of these teachings speaking. I mean, it is speaking through Darrell and Ed uniquely, just as it speaks through everyone else. But this is adventurous people who are on fire and amazed by the results that they were getting.
Exactly. It really works, folks. That's why we're so excited.
That's
and the best part is I'm always still in awe of it. I'm not as surprised as I once was. But the best part is I'm always in awe, like, holy cow.
Yeah, that's why this show is called Funniest Thing, because when these things work out, even though they've worked out time and time again, when we practice faith in this loving presence rather than our old protective mechanisms, scheming, judging, when we let all that go and give into this
push and shove.
When we give into this inner light, this inner loving presence,
and let God
amazing
do the work.
things happen. We call each other afterwards and go,
funniest thing,
you're never going to believe it. Yes, because life's never dreary when we live this way. And we discovered this week something funny. When life's not dreary, we don't get tired. We don't burn out. We get more excited. The work we do, like you with your...
becomes efficient.
It becomes efficient, and it also becomes a testament to how loved and supported we are, like you with that dog thing you built.
They don't know yet.
All right, so let's just take a breath. We're going to affirm when my life ain't dreary.
And we mean from the perspective of not dreary, right?
When my life ain't dreary,
yes.
I never grow weary.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so your life doesn't have to be dreary. That's the good news. We're not just saying this to show off. Look at us. We're high because we were.
Our life's not dreary because we're going to let go of these old cherished grievances.
Yes. So here we go. Let's take a deep breath to clear our mind. When my life ain't dreary, I never grow weary.
When my wife, when my life ain't dreary, I's never grow weary.
When my life ain't dreary, I's never grow weary. Why do we always channel John Strickland?
I was going to say I added a little Strickland to that one.
Yeah, we're strict.
All right.
Strictly Strickland. All right. Shout out to our man, John Strickland.
So where are we going from here?
Let's go. Should I do a quick reading here?
Yeah.
So Michael Schoonover, an amazing minister from San Diego, sends us spiritual propaganda in the mail that he makes copies of. He puts them in envelopes, 2 copies. Actually, I have some for you, by the way.
He might even found some of these online at TruthUnity.net.
I bet he did, yeah. And anyway, so he is a big fan of this old time stuff, not because it's old time, but because it's packed with spirit and has living energy in it.
And it's so practical. It goes right to the medicine, and your mind goes, hey, I could try that.
Yeah.
I want to try that.
Yeah.
Holy cow, I love trying this.
Darrell and I have talked before about how we were floored when we were in the archives at Unity Village and we picked up a copy of Good Business.
Oh, my God.
Everything we read in there was like, boom, why isn't this still in publication,
I
in
know.
circulation? So this is from Good Business from November 1965. It's a mind stretcher by J. Sig Paulson. And it says, with God, it is never too late or too early.
Yes, folks.
It is always right now.
Yes.
God is the God of the living now, not of the dead past. Even as you read these words, you can make a new start in life. Here's the recipe. You ready for the recipe?
I'm ready.
Resolutely turn your back on the past. Simply take the attitude that you refuse to let the past be a burden in any way. That you are too mature spiritually to let anything from your yesterdays rob the present moment of the good God has for you now. Then begin to look for and accept the good. This declaration will help to free your mind. The past is past. I let it go joyously, lovingly, but resolutely. I am making a fresh start. I turn happily to the ever-living now. I am open, receptive, and responsive to the good God has for me in this moment. Now let the power of God take over in your life. Idea for living? I live joyously, vividly, superbly in the present moment. It's cool. It has 3 pocket power affirmations that says, here are 3 prosperity affirmations designed to be cut out and carried in the wallet or purse.
I love this old stuff.
Yeah, just clip the 3 cards apart and detach them. The rest of the cover will provide plenty of protection for the magazine. And it says, pocket power. I'm heir with Jesus Christ to the wealth of God. I have plenty to use and spare. I place all my affairs in God's hands, and he blesses me with abundant good. God is the source of my health, happiness, and prosperity. I am blessed in all ways.
Oh my God! And this stuff works. I just this week. Well, a couple things. The reason we're saying Prosperity Month is because we receive a newsletter from Catherine Ponder as well.
Yes.
You can get her newsletter very easily. Just go to Catherine Ponder, Unity Worldwide. Just Google those words and you'll get to her website, and you could start getting the newsletter. And it's not just a newsletter; it just has affirmations and exciting ideas that get my mind going on the right track. And one of them, I received it for October, right before October 1st, which was on a Saturday.
Right.
And it was, this is Prosperity Month. I said, I'm in agreement with that. I wrote that on the top of my monthly calendar, Prosperity Month. And I
love Prosperity Month.
I wrote a windfall because I was starting to get concerned about our finances.
Right.
Because things weren't looking good at the beginning of the month. And
that's that vertical line that that's that horizontal line we're talking about, where you're just looking at what is in the here and now with in the third dimension, even fourth dimension, but third dimensional reality, where you're just seeing what you can perceive with your senses, what already exists in this type of thing. And it
starts tickling the fears of, okay, worry and scheme. How are we going to make this? Should I tell Laura? And I just go, I got her newsletter. And I go, okay, I'm going to accept a windfall, comes at the right time. I'm open to receive, and I put this all on my calendar. The very next day after our show, I get an email from Culver City saying the date for submissions for Artist Laureate has been extended till the 10th.
Yeah.
The 2nd of the month. So I look at it, and I remember a couple of years ago I was going to apply.
Yes.
And from my memory, it was $8,000 for the 2-year commitment. To be the Artist Laureate. So this one looked like a 1-year commitment. So I go, okay, you know what? This dropped in my lap. I'm not going to get all bent out of shape I'm just going to apply.
Right.
And the application process is daunting for someone like Darrell and Ed.
Yeah.
Because it's like asking vague intellectual questions
that
really aren't specific, and you're trying to figure out how to answer. What do I answer? What are they asking?
Right.
But
some pseudo-academic languaging.
Yes, but I kept turning it over, and I would refer to Ed and my other friend Steve, and within a week's time, miraculously, this thing all came together. I had a resume, 3 letters of recommendation. Ed helped shine some light from his objective perspective of what I do anyway.
Well, Kirk and I are also both in academic world already.
Right.
So like when you asked for a letter of recommendation, I literally wrote it while we were at Coffee Bean in like 3 minutes because I'm so used to writing these things, and I know you well. So like all these things
just came together.
When you say miracles, like Fillmore would also just call it divine order.
Yes.
Because these things were already around you, and you were in a receptive place, so you let those things in, and you let it be easy, and so forth.
And, the long and the short story is by Monday the 10th, I had everything ready, 5 samples work, boom. So now that's off in the ethers.
Right.
And I'm just enjoying the idea, knowing if this happens, fantastic.
Right.
And if not, something even better.
Yeah.
So, and the money now is significantly a larger amount, plus it's only a year commitment.
Right.
Then this week, my wife Lori got a request for a photo shoot, and the request was to have a dog and cat set up similar to, remember Lucy?
Yeah, she was like the psychologist, and it said like 5 cents for help, advice.
Psychiatric help, 5 cents.
Yeah, right.
When Charlie Brown would go, and she had that booth like she made. The doctor is in.
Right.
So Lori brought this to my attention on Monday, and I thought, Lori dragged home some big plastic road signs. She goes, I want to make it out of this. And I said, no. Well, I could probably make it out of cardboard. It'll look much better. And I just had to keep turning over the fear because she needed to shoot it on a Saturday, and that's when we have our show. So I knew I couldn't help her with that. And I just turned this thing over just like the art thing because I had practiced with not buying into the fear.
Right.
I didn't work on that art resume every day. I only really worked on it 2 days out of the week, including the artist statement. It just, I let it go. And like you said, when I'm not dreary, I never grow weary, but we work more efficiently. So I kept it in this playful state, which is not easy to do, but you can do it. And when you do it, you get results.
Yes.
So I take Gabby for a walk 2 days ago, and I decide to go, we'll just go a little bit longer. We passed by behind a business was throwing out that super thick corrugated cardboard.
Right.
I mean, this stuff's like wood. It's beautiful stuff. And it was clean on one side with the print on the other. So I said, oh, my goodness. This will be perfect to build that thing. I don't know how I'm going to build it, but I could see now I got the stuff to do it.
Right.
So I throw it in the car, bring it back. And now I'm thinking I'll put it together, but I'm going to have to use paper tape, the old paper packing tape, so it doesn't reflect like the shiny stuff. So I put that on the back burner. And now here's the thing. Don't rush and scurry. How am I going to build this? Because those thoughts came. I just kept going, no, God is going to make this in a delightful way.
Right.
And it's coming from that place that we read in Neville. Seeing myself what it already accomplished. Like I kept delighting in that idea because we've experienced living this way before. So I go do a shoot with our friend Steven. Like I don't make it all about building this thing, even though the days are going by.
Yeah, you stay in the flow of life.
Stay in the flow of life. Don't deny what other things going on, because that used to be me. No, I don't have time for that. I got to build this for my wife, guys. You know how it is.
Right.
No, none of that.
Right.
None of that. So because I shot that video with him, I said, where do you think I can get this paper tape? The glue cardboard paper tape. I go, because I looked at Office Depot online. They don't have it. He goes, I don't know. And he goes, what about Graphades? Graphades was about a block and a half from where we were shooting this video. And I thought, yeah, they might have it. We go to Graphades. We pull in the lot. And in the recycle bin is 2 perfect rectangular posts like that I could use as post for this booth.
Right.
I'm like, what are the chances? We go inside. And the guy goes, I don't know if we have paper packing tape. I go walk where the tape is. 1 roll left of this paper packing tape. And Steve was able to get something he was looking for. I throw it in, and I go, we're hungry. Now, I better rush home and build this because tomorrow's the show.
Right.
Now, these thoughts come up, but we got to ignore them. So I go, let's go eat. We're hungry. We go to the co-op. We eat. And now we're leaving. And as I'm pulling out, because the apartment complex is above this store, this eatery, the co-op. They have a big recycle bin for the apartments, and there is the perfect, super thick, all these things were that super thick industrial cardboard, was the perfect square base. So now I don't even have to build the base for where Gidget will be like Lucy. But get this, folks. During that week, someone threw out a book before Lori told me about this building this, and it was like the best of Lucy from the Peanuts. Lucy was never my favorite character, and I go, I don't want this. I never liked Lucy. If it was about Snoopy, maybe I'll take it, or Woodstock. So I take the book anyway. Somebody said take the book. They were taught. It was thrown out.
Right.
In that book had full page examples. It's one of these big like
of that very
art
thing you're
books.
building.
So I had the perfect image to be able to replicate this.
Amazing.
Long story short, I'm going to give Indy a picture of it, the finished. It's a picture I took, not how Lori, I'm sure it's going to look much better. But you could see how this whole thing, and I had everything at my house that I needed.
Right.
It was crazy. And I'm going, oh my God, thank you, God. I only need to constantly, I want to and this is the key, folks. When these things happen, you got to really appreciate it so it gets in your subconscious. Mike Dugan used to tell me this. I go, Mike, you're not going to believe. He goes, Darrell, sit with it and really remember this for when so in the future, when these things come up and they seem they're going to be difficult, you can remember this experience so you can continue to apply faith in the same way you did here.
That's right.
So
wow.
This stuff works. That's why Darrell and Ed get so fired up as these old-timey writers seem to, because when we experiment with this stuff, folks, you get the results, and the results are even more rewarding than the accomplishment or the gift we receive.
Yeah. And
that's almost like a side bonus.
Totally. And you stayed in the flow of celebration. And the voice that would tell us to get serious and that voice, if we really look underneath, I guarantee there's a lot of judgments, and there's an opportunity.
Yes.
I forgive myself for buying into this false belief that I have to do this alone.
Yes.
That I might get in trouble if I don't get it done.
Yes.
That it's not going to happen.
Those are all the thoughts I would have.
That's where we say it all the time, that seriousness is just fear pretending to be a grown-up.
Yes.
So we have to really look and start questioning what are we following when we follow that voice that's really, it's serious, and it think, this is the serious, but it's really
that's what
a lot of ill-advised. Yeah, it's very dreary, because each step along your way was a celebration of life and how love. Yeah, it's amazing. And Ernest Holmes, and then we're going to go to the break and bring in Mark Hicks. Ernest Holmes, this is another bit of literature from The Better Life, from January, February, March, April, May of 1968. It's from Ernest Holmes from Science of Mind magazine.
I was 6 years old.
Okay, good. It says, if our thoughts are affirmative, our life will be affirmative.
Thank you.
But sometimes we have to insert the affirmative thoughts, because our subconscious mind might not be in the affirmative state.
It might not be coughing those up.
So like a whole way, Darrell had to keep inserting these affirmative thoughts. If our thoughts are affirmative, our life will be affirmative. If we maintain an inward peace, we shall not become confused. If faith dominates our consciousness, we shall not be afraid. If we are always kind, we shall never know hate. If we think of life as an eternal springtime, forever blooming anew into self-expression through us, we shall never grow old. But how much time, this really ties into what you just said, how much time do we spend in affirming the good things of life, in recognizing that which is best in ourselves and others? If we could meet people and situations in the right way, if we could get back of all fear and pretense and all this false front we put up, which is the seriousness, and discover something real and genuine and happy and whole at the center of our own being, we would be happy. There is a divine presence at the center of things which responds to us in the manner in which we approach it. Our awareness of this presence ought to be so real that we feel it everywhere, in everyone and in every situation. Our starting point then is to believe this, not merely as a theory or an idle dream, but as something we recognize and accept right now.
Yes.
All right, coming up next, Pilot Lighting Unity Minister Mark Hicks fires things up with today's daily word, Illuminate. So thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. All right, everybody, welcome back to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Today's show is called I Just Want to Celebrate with Mark Hicks. Celebration really is always a good solution. Finding something to celebrate shifts us back into the flow of life, because there really is at every moment a lot to celebrate, a lot more than any problems or concerns would have us believe, and that's what this is about, is shifting into that. So, and we have a great reading here from, what's it called? Prove Me Now?
Yes, this one. Oh, man, this is one of those old Unity books. If you're near a Unity church or attend one, ask the minister if they have a lending library. A lot of them still do.
Yeah.
And this is from the lending library at the Unity of Santa Barbara. Prove Me Now by Gardner Hunting. You could get this online. Like Indie just got a book. You find these on Amazon for like pennies on the dollar. I don't even know how they ship them to you for free. $5, including shipping used. It's crazy.
Right.
So Prove Me Now, I highly recommend this. He gives a lot of examples like I just shared with the Lucy Psychiatry Office for the Dogs building.
Right.
Actually, it's going to be for an IT department. But anyway, he gives lots of those examples of faith and work in his own experience. But I'm just going to read this quote, because this is pretty much what we always try to remind our listeners about faith. And, we like the definition of faith, joyful expectancy. But it's a verb. It's something we really have to apply. But the good news is, folks, faith comes to the man who uses it. Like muscle, like skill, like capacity. Use what you have and you will get more. Faith enough to move mountains comes from using faith enough to move grains of sand. Like that example I gave was to build a cardboard thing for a photo shoot may seem like sand, but that's building the faith and getting the results that is the same as for something that might seem incredibly more significant or challenging to you.
That's right.
It's not any more difficult or challenging to God when we apply faith. It's only challenging and difficult to my mind when I'm wavering on faith.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter where, if the blockage in the circulation, if you will, the trouble seems to be in you or someone else, you must pray for yourself. You must pray for others. It's all, the prayer is to let God's light flow through everyone. It doesn't matter where. Because God, Sue Sicking said, God has great good for you. Do not fail to express now. Live each day fully, then leave it behind. You are now ready for the great realization. Rise up. Rise up and cast off all personal beliefs and opinions. Accept your good here and now. There's only one authority for you, God in you, your own still small voice. And with that, we got a man who's kind of a still small voice in the community of the New Thought metaphysics.
But I think I think there's a lot of people that silently appreciate him that he's unaware of. In and out of unity.
Oh, yeah.
Who find truth unity.
So many people have told us. I had a memory of it, but we had to look into it. Mark Hicks, who created truthunity.net, he's also a unity minister. He's a student of New Thought and a fan of these principles. So many people recommended that we have him on, and we had to actually look it up to find out that he was actually on the show in 2017, before we had the YouTube CHOBO Studios thing going. But it is a pleasure to have him back on, all the way from, where did he just say he was?
I don't know. He could tell us.
Where did you say you were, Mark?
I'm in Timonium, Maryland, just north of Baltimore.
There you go.
Wow.
Well, welcome, sir. How are you today?
Doing well. It's a gorgeous day. Fun day. Day to be here. You bet.
Right. And having listened to the first segment, is there anything that's bubbled up in your mind that you wanted to share as we start our chat together?
Well, celebration is play. I just want to, you guys are playful, and you're inviting us to be playful. And I really think it's a lot easier to be playful than to be celebrating. And so let's just let our hair down, enjoy being kids again, going back to middle school, getting silly.
Yes. I like that.
Yeah. You know what? It's great because playful really does. It's a nice way to ease into it. My mind can wrap around that idea of just be playful. And the celebration naturally follows.
Yeah, right. Because you got to start playing before you start celebrating.
You know what, Mark? Right before right before today's episode, Ed and I were driving here, and we were both sharing with one another how it's way more healthy to be absent-minded about the bickering that goes on the news, infotainment channels. And I'm glad they use that word now because it really is just infotainment, which is not really entertainment. It should be info horror stories.
Yes.
But here's the thing. A couple of weeks ago, I think I shared this with you, Ed, and goes along with playful, is I started thinking, when I was young, when I was in elementary school and even middle school, and most of high school really, I was playfully unaware and carefree because I really did not tune into the news. I had this nice unaware attitude, and often I was saying, I want to live like that again now. Because there's no difference between me then and me now, and I did just fine then.
Right.
And the world went on fine then.
Right.
And only when I would buy into a little whisper of a horror story, I go, oh my God. And then I would let go of it quickly because, I'd get a new record album or something.
Right.
And I could do that now. And it is no different. It doesn't mean now because I'm 60 or you're 40 or you're 30. Now we got to pay attention. You know what's crazy? When I got to college, I almost started feeling guilty because people go, I always read Barron's. I always read the news. And I was like, I never That stuff doesn't interest me. I read the cartoons. But now I realize I was ahead of them. But I started thinking, ooh, I better start reading the news. And once I started reading the news, that's when I started having serious problems.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it really is the truth of it all is just to keep tuning into this underlying principle that is always in effect. You said it today on the ride. You said, share what you said. Can you remember?
I have no idea what I said. But I like what you're saying. Mark, what do you think?
You know, think of life as rolling around with a bunch of puppies.
Oh, yes.
Puppies don't read the news.
No, thank God.
Once we start reading the news, then we lose our puppyhood.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, I love this. We're going to use that for a show title. That is too good to be true.
Yeah,
Which means it is true.
Yeah.
That is not too good to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to lose my puppyhood.
Yeah. Eric Butterworth kept saying, go into the flow. For him, everything was the flow. Everything was the flow. You know?
Yeah.
Life is a flow. Who was it? I think Wayne Dyer did the talk on row your boat.
Is that right?
A short little segment about 3 minutes long, you know, unpacking that rhyme or that song.
Oh, it's a metaphysical song.
As a as a metaphor for life.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful thing that he did, but life is a dream, and we row. We don't work.
Yeah, gently.
Wow.
It says row gently down
Yeah,
the
with
stream.
that flow.
Yeah. And merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
You know what? And it's often convenient. I don't want to say it's hard because I like to let things be easy, but the tricky part for me is sometimes is unhooking from the part of me that feels really justified in working really hard when I'm inadvertently going against the stream of my own life, like, and getting myself, convincing myself to let go and row gently down the stream.
I like that you say the tricky thing.
Yeah.
Instead of the hard thing. Let's start using that. I'm going to start using that. It's not a difficult thing. It's the tricky thing. And because we see all around us, I think too, Mark and Ed knows, we talk all the time, is unfortunately the examples shown on how you navigate life are always shown by bad representatives. But they don't look like bad representatives, but you know, hard work, push and shove, you got to get in there and you got to be the alpha. You know, you got to write down your goals and stick to it. And it's like,
Yep.
And that's going against the flow, although it's being advertised and seems like, no, that's how I get to where I want to go. But we really only get anywhere worthwhile, I found, when we let go and go with that flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That what you're describing, I think of the phrase, the ends justifies the means. And we've found that it really doesn't. If it feels bad getting there, even though there might be a momentary high of feeling like you got there, after that it's going to feel bad too. There's a guy that keeps coming up. I listen to these Bob Baker affirmations every morning, this guy on YouTube, which I love. I started doing them with my students over the summer. And there's a guy that advertises before that, and he's like, my name's so-and-so.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, what if I told you that I could give me 1 hour and I'll give you 4 things that'll change your life and change everything about your finances?
Oh, yeah.
And my gut instinct all the time is I just think, I tell you you're a creep. Please stay away from me. You know, but he's so flashy.
I know.
And it is like he's charismatic and compelling, but it's like, it's such a load of hooey, man. It's like,
it is
I get the feeling of a guy who would push anyone out of the way just to get his time on that thing so he can get on the stage, you know, but it's like, I don't want to do that, you know.
It really is that saying I always have to use on my mind to help unhook is, if you got to fight to get it, you're going to have to fight to keep it.
Yeah.
It's not yours by divine right, then it doesn't work. But I also like that Ed brought up that thing too. If toughing it out, like your son said, nothing should be toughed out. If I have to tough it out and it doesn't feel good to get to where I think I'm going to get, and then it's going to feel good, by the time I get there, that's not going to feel good either. The problem is my not feeling good right now. I got to get into a faithful state. And then I don't have to tough anything out, because then that's when life is but a dream.
Yeah.
Things flow.
Yeah.
You bet. What is the song in Jungle Book by Blue the Bear? Life, bare necessities.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Bear, you know the scene? He's going down the river.
Yeah.
And he's telling Mowgli, "You're working too hard."
Yeah.
Isn't that a great message?
It's the best song ever.
Yeah.
Bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Yes.
The necessities of life.
Yes.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
No struggle and strife.
Can I take a moment, Mark, to ask you about truthunity.net, the origins of it?
What motivated you?
Yeah, well, how did that start?
It was, I was a LUT student, and there were audio tapes in the archives. I started listening to them, and I thought, this is cool stuff, and I wanted to share them with friends. So I started.
Could you tell me what LUT is real quick before you continue?
Oh, licensed Unity teacher.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I was preparing for ministry. I just simply wanted to share things with my fellow students.
Yeah.
And I knew how to build websites. I had a technical background. And so I just started streaming stuff, and as a means of sharing it with others. And it just grew from there. There was no strategy, no mission, no vision, no money.
Right.
It was just sharing.
Yeah.
And what I discovered is, here's the big lesson I've learned in 13 years. If I have a resource like an audio tape or a PDF or whatever, and I don't share it, then it festers. And internally, something festers within me, and I feel like I'm hoarding. When I put it out, I just feel like it's been released.
Yeah.
And I'm not disseminating anything. Google is disseminating it.
Right.
I'm just uploading it. But it's not my job to get it pushed out to whoever needs it. That's, so, it's free. That's one of the great joys of doing this.
I relate to that with our show.
Do you know what? This is the best part. I love that you said that. It's not my job to shove it out there to people who need it. But the great thing is, the people who want it, it's now available for them.
Well, that's
before. That was where when we're holding back.
Yeah,
we're not holding back from the people who need it, because the people who need it might not want it, but we're holding it back from those people who really desire and want it.
Yeah, yeah, and I got to say that frames our show, like why we don't really push. We've been doing this show for 10 years, and sometimes we'll go like, should we be doing more to promote it or what have you, but we get so much out of sharing what we're learning and sharing teachers like yourself, and it's so much. I like the way it puts my mind at ease to think we're Apple Podcasts and YouTube, and these are the things that are distributing it. We're just sharing it and putting it into this space right here, and then letting the mechanisms do their thing, and that makes me feel really good. I like that.
Well, I cannot believe I cut this out and put it in my little notebook, because what you're doing is really the custom of the Unity movement. This little piece of paper actually is cut out from a Catherine Ponder, and it's something and I cut this out to remind me and Ed, just what Ed said, that Apple Podcasts and all that, they're taking care of making sure it's available for those who want to listen to our show.
Right.
We don't have to we're not the type, we don't have the personalities for that to push and make it.
That's right.
That's totally different people than us. And if I try to step in that arena, I feel my shoulders start to tense up. It's just not me.
I get cut off from the magic.
And what you just said, and it's funny, the Unity movement, all the way back to its infancy, I'll just read this. As it says about the missionary ministry of unity. What is it really? It's really what Mark Hicks is practicing with truthunity.net, and what we're doing with the show. As is customary in the unity movement, this ministry has no personal missionaries to send forth to spread its messages of truth. Instead, its missionary ministry consists, and this is going back before podcasts and internet, its missionary ministry consists of countless pieces of inspirational literature and books that it ships out all over the world each year upon request to those who want it, into those areas which the material is not available.
You bet.
Isn't it funny we're doing that?
Mm-hmm. And we are in an age where the unserved flock is not in the church.
Yes.
The unserved flock is online.
Yeah.
And, 100 years ago when a teenager got pregnant, she went to her minister. And 100 years ago when a man was unfaithful, he went to his priest.
Yeah.
Today they go online.
Yeah.
And they do a search.
Yes.
And at that point, it's out of our hands. It's out of their hands. It's in God's hands. Somebody, something, some power directs that person who has a challenge.
Yeah, a need, yeah.
To a resource that is helpful. And so you guys and me and countless others who do similar things are simply allowing ourselves to be part of that process of helping people today, what I call the unserved flock.
That is great. We're making ourselves available to the unserved flock. Isn't that a great way to look at this?
Mm-hmm. Very good.
I knew we had Mark Hicks on the show for a reason, Ed.
I know. Yes. And then
I love that idea.
Are you in a church right now as the minister? What are you doing with the minister gig?
Well, I just got ordained this summer.
I know it, yeah.
I got two things in Kansas City in June. I got ordained and I got COVID. In the same week.
Did you get a T-shirt? What do they say?
Yeah.
All I got is this lousy T-shirt.
I got COVID and ordained, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
This lousy mask. So,
Anyway.
So how you feeling about that now that you're a minister ordained?
Oh, it's. I'm not saying I'm not happy. I am happy, but that's not the big deal. The big deal is helping people. If I get an email from somebody who says, I really like this, thank you, that is pure gold for me. And fortunately, we are in a segment of the religious movement, New Thought, Unity, religious science, so forth, that understands tithing.
Yeah.
They understand that we should be supporting those things that inspire spiritually.
Right.
And so not only, do we get to put it out for free, but, the people that get it, they understand and they're supportive of it. And I don't have to go begging for money.
No.
And I don't think anybody in New Thought does either. I mean, we have fundraisers, sure, but nobody has ever accused a New Thoughter of being somebody who's in it for the money.
Right.
Right.
If you want to be in the, we're poor. We've always been poor by church standards. We don't have the huge cathedrals, and that's fine. I'm kind of proud of our humbleness.
Yeah.
The number of storefront churches we've got, the number of ministries that are carried on in kitchens and living rooms. You know,
I love it.
There's something about that is really, I take pride in it. You know, nobody on this show is wearing a coat and tie right now.
Right.
Not exactly, you know, up in upper echelons of culture.
No, I'm actually wearing. It's casual. You can tell it's casual. I'm wearing my dog walking shirt today.
And you have to have it written on there, otherwise you'll forget that's your dog walking.
I'll take too nice of a shirt and wear it on the show. But Mark, I love what you're saying. But I also want to reiterate though, the great thing about doing it's like this is the thing. This is why I think what you're saying is valuable for everyone to hear, and I'm just going to shine more light on it from how I feel. Like when we don't withhold our generous spirit, you being generous with the information, us being generous with our information, you being generous with your support and love and comfort that you give people who may come to you for it, us the same way, and in many, many other ways, we just tend to be generous throughout our day to strangers and the little things, a smile, opening a door.
Right.
We also know about tithing that when I'm generous with everything, I'm more generous when I'm understanding of my vulnerability. It's like when you said this humble part, it's like when I'm in alignment with my vulnerability and my reliance upon this loving God and this faith and this love, I am so generous. When I'm not aware of my own vulnerability and accepting of it, that's when I become stingy and fearful and withholding. And it really, and by doing so, by acting from this place of generosity, and you could do it at home by just being courteous where you weren't courteous before. You know, little things. It doesn't have to be a lot. A hello here, a smile there, a petting a dog here, instead of, no, I don't have time for that. The tithe of you doing that will show returns where you need it most. When you need comfort in the form of a friend or an understanding person at work where you thought there would be no understanding, or where a financial need, you will receive it where you need it through this source because you've been generous in the manner that you're best generous in, or where you could be most generous.
Yes.
And that's the great, I think, lesson of New Thought is it's not just all about money. It's about generosity. And when I'm in the flow and I'm generous, then the world and people and life is generous with me in the areas where my need for generosity is required by the universe.
Right.
And then I just need to accept it. And I accept it by being more generous. It really is a wonderful cycle to get yourself into on a regular basis.
Absolutely. And you know, you used the word in the flow. You know, that's modern psychology, positive psychology's picked up on that. You know, there's a lot of talk about our work being in the flow.
Yeah.
At a point where there's kind of a reckless disregard for the outcome. I'm doing it because this is fun.
Yes.
I'm doing this because I do this all night long.
Yes.
And I get an incredible amount of joy of reading a book, digitizing the book, and if it's not copyrighted, uploading the book.
Yeah, right.
And just simply putting out an email saying, you know, you guys should be reading this.
Yeah.
And to me, that is, it just doesn't get any better than that.
That's right.
That's what.
Yeah.
And if it helps somebody, fine. But that's not my job.
Right.
My job is to put it out there.
You know, and it's common in music and sports. They call it being in a flow state, which is exactly what you're describing. That word has become fairly commonly used.
And you know what? The origin of the word affluence literally means to be in the flow.
And yeah.
I learned that from Butterworth.
I didn't. I see it now.
Yeah.
I can see the word influent.
Yeah, it's like we're a flowing
it never
along.
occurred to me before.
We're just a flowing along.
Affluence comes from.
And I want to say this too about
the
the money thing and the rich thing and the prosperous thing is that when we spend time recognizing that, like that we are in the kingdom.
Yes.
That being on earth, we are rich, and
Yeah.
we live richly, and you can live outwardly as richly as you want or however you want. But because we're listening to our inner guidance, we're not caught in the trappings of just having things that are status symbols. So it saves so much money.
Yes.
When, like for me, if I can get a couple coffees a day, eat a good meal, hang out with Pizarro, like talking to you is
Yes.
like talking to Led Zeppelin. If I was like a music fan, it's like,
Yeah.
I get to meet all these people who are doing and living the things that inspire me. Look at
Andy
Andy's
just
got
happens
his
to
Led
have a
Zeppelin,
Led Zeppelin shirt on.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is I'm living richer than I ever have, but someone's not necessarily going to look at me and go like put me on TV as the rich guy, but I am rich.
I feel rich. Yes,
Yeah.
I am as rich as I can ever be. You know what? Mike Dugan, this guy who was my mentor, Mark, he would always say to me over and over to help shake me into this way of thinking, he'd go, Darrell, the highest you get in life is happy.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember that.
Yeah.
The highest you'll ever get in life is happy.
Well, and that ties into, because where we're in the flow, we're letting what you just said with generosity, real riches is how much of God and how much of life am I letting come through me
Yes.
by doing the things I love and sharing this stuff the way I'm called to share it. The amount of God that flows
Yes.
through me is really what, to me, defines prosperity and
Yes.
richness. And
Sweet.
speaking of that, time is flowing quickly.
Yes.
Mr. Mark Hicks, do you have the daily word that we passed along?
I do.
Let's hear that, and then we'll get ready to wrap up the show.
Yeah. The word, the daily word, Wednesday, October 12th, 2022. Illuminate. The wisdom of indwelling spirit lights my path. When I enter a darkened room and flip a light switch, the light touches every corner of the room. I am now able to see clearly, find my way, and discern one item from another. Just as light dispels darkness, illuminating that which has been unseen, divine life illuminates me and informs my wisdom. This inner light helps me find my way. I respond to the light of divine inspiration, acting upon my ideas, dreams, and intuition with confidence. I see myself co-creating with spirit and trust the ideas that come to me during time spent in prayer. I give thanks for let there be light moments in my life, and I welcome every opportunity to bring divine light to all I create. And the biblical reference is Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 3. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. So be it.
So be it. You know, I just thought about this. The reason why forgiveness, forgiving ourselves for the things we're judging, you got to think, do these thoughts I'm thinking allow more, by beating myself up, by holding on to this grievance and judgment, is that allowing me to share more or less of the light that I could be sharing today? Whenever I think about it that way, all of that negative self-talk is a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
Because all it's doing is one more day where I don't share my gifts, one more day where I don't bring the fullness of who I am. How is that helping anyone?
It's crazy.
God never punishes. There's nothing punitive in God.
No.
That's why I love these principles so much, because all that does is, what am I going to go to someone else and they're going to tell me that I'm God, that it's okay? Why don't I just go straight to God and recognize this truth about myself and begin shining now?
Yeah, just
That is the
shine
best.
now.
Yeah, we want to celebrate. And Mark, it's been a great time to celebrate with you, but don't leave. But I also want to say, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this show up?
What a joyful time. What a playful time. Thank you. You guys
Thank
are
you.
cool.
Oh, you
my
made
God,
our
we love
day,
you so
Mark.
much. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so go to truthunity.net to find out what we've been talking about. You're going to love it. You're going to love the way you look. It's better than the hair club for men. You won't even need the hair club for men after you read some of that stuff. So we have a story from Mark Hicks.
You mixed two ads. I think one was for Men's Warehouse, and then you had.
Yeah. Well, you won't need the Men's Warehouse either.
Yeah,
You
no.
could get your dog walking shirt on. So You know that Mark Hicks is an archivist, right? We
Yes.
talked about this before the show, how important it is. You
No,
know, you
wait,
don't want to
so
mess.
you found this
I
from
found this story.
TMZ or something.
But I want to set it up. Remember, you were talking about how important it is. We were talking about the word art, and what would happen if you switched? You got one letter wrong. What does it turn into?
fart.
Right. So you got to be real careful. One letter can change
It's
the
the meaning of a word.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, I
All
understand
right. So that
that.
kind of. I just want to this story because it's Mark Hicks is amazing. He was once hired to be the archivist for the Benedictine monks.
Yeah.
Yep. He even noted, I did such great work that they eventually gave me access to their full archives so that I could translate and catalog them online. Darrell and Ed were amazed.
Well, what happened?
Well, Mark replied, well, they let me go because I noticed they misspelled one word when they translated from the original rule of St. Benedict, which, that's the strict guidelines for how the monks lived.
Uh-oh.
They left out an R from one word, and it changed everything about the way they did things.
How did one R change so much?
Mark replied, in the original text, it said, celebrate. They thought it said celibate. Oh, my God. Those monkeys. Monks. Hey, it's Terry Wilder.
Hi, guys. I used to sing this theme song that Jeff Comfort loved playing all the time on Unity Online Radio. You want to sing along?
Let's sing it out, shall we?
Yeah, I love it.
Get rid of my butt. It's bigger than it would appear. It hinders my forward movement when I keep bringing up the rear.
The excess garbage I've had to my plate, just adding to my weight, and wait, and wait.
If I'm wondering why I just can't seem to catch up, moving slow cause I'm dragging my butt.
And that's butt, B-U-T. Okay. Thanks again. You can visit DarrellandEd.com to find easy
TruthUnity.net.
links
We love you.
to everything we do.
Mark
And
Unity.
thanks again
Mark
for
Hicks.
being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and
If
Ed.
I'm wondering why I just can't seem to catch up, I'm moving slow cause I'm dragging my butt. Yee-hoo!
Wait, what did you
All
call
right.
it? Mark who?
Mark Unity.
Mark.
That's your superhero name.